Coming up, 420 Day, April 20th. We all know what that is, the rallying cry day for those who seek to legalize weed. And even more informally is 311, which is coming up before that, March 11th.
311 Day.
Where 311 fans for many years have partook. So we're going to speak with a very smart person. I know that's rare for those that listen to this show. And I'm going to try to not butcher her name. Please welcome Dr. Neha Pathak.
You got it. Right.
I did it right. All right.
Yes, you did.
So you have about 15 job titles. One of them, you're with WebMD. You're an adjunct professor at Emory. What's your main thing?
So my main thing is chief physician editor here at WebMD in Atlanta.
Got it. We love WebMD. That's how we all find out what's wrong with us. Everyone goes to that first.
We do.
It's
the first thing you do. Exactly.
Symptom, blurry vision.
Well, hopefully it helps with what's right with you as well.
Exactly. No, I love it. I'm saying it's a great thing. You tell your doctor what is wrong with you when you message them. But with these important grassy days ahead of us, I thought it'd be nice to talk about recreational consumption of the old Mary Jane and what is real versus what's a myth, and no better person to take us through that than you. I'm sure you hear it all the time, crazy stuff, myths with weed.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm excited to go through some of these myths and facts and see where we can set the record straight.
Please do, because it's not legal, right, in Atlanta yet?
No, not in Georgia.
Okay, maybe someday.
Maybe.
Hit us with some of these things, because I'm curious. I've never been drawn to it. Maybe some other people on the show may or may have not.
I'm sure we have a lot of listeners, though, that have, and now we're going to get schooled by the doctor.
So I think the first one is marijuana medicinal for mental health? Is that a myth or a fact, that marijuana is medicinal for mental health?
I hear this all the time. I would say yes.
I would say no. Crash?
I right off the bat, I would say yeah.
Well, so that is unfortunately in today's world a myth. So marijuana, and oftentimes it's also laced with other products. So it can actually trigger mental health issues like depression, bipolar disorder, and it can actually make you more likely to experience other problems like insomnia and paranoia.
That's why I guessed no. I thought with all the things that you mentioned, but here's the question for those people seeking it out for issues, right? Whatever those issues are, what happens? Those things become side effects though, right?
Yeah. So, there is medical marijuana. So you can also work with a medical professional to talk about potential reasons that you might want to explore it. But when we think about people using it recreationally and thinking that, this is going to be good for my mental health, what you actually see is in the long run, it's triggering mental health problems.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a weird conundrum. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
So edibles cause more medical emergencies than smoking marijuana. Is that a myth or a fact?
Edibles?
I'm going to say myth.
I'm going to say fact.
Fact.
I think it's a myth.
So it's actually a fact.
Dang.
Eating edibles are often more dangerous because the effect takes longer to happen. So people will often load up thinking, I'm still not feeling it. I'm not feeling that
This
high.
happens. I've heard about this.
Right. So you eat larger and larger amounts. And actually, that's one of the biggest reasons for marijuana-related emergency department visits is edibles.
That's interesting. I tried an edible once and it didn't do anything to me. So I could see where people will be chasing, just have another gummy.
Yeah, I had a buddy on a golf course that did like 100 milligram lifesaver, and by the end of the round, he didn't even know which end of the golf club to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, not good. And, there's a really interesting study that found that emergency room visits were 33 times higher when taking edibles compared to what you would expect from marijuana usage. Yeah.
So interesting.
Wow.
So I've got another one for you if you're all ready.
Yes, please.
Yes.
So marijuana is less dangerous for teen brains than alcohol.
Oh, I would think that that's fact.
I'll say fact as well.
You said teen brains, though, so I'm going to say no. Yeah, I'm going to say no. That's not a fact. That's a myth.
You're correct. That is a myth.
Ooh.
I thought you were trying to trick us.
I tried hard here. So yeah, it harms parts of the brain that are still developing, especially the parts that are associated with learning and memory. So we have studies showing lower IQ. And we also need to remember that our brains don't stop developing. I mean, they're constantly developing, but the major development happens while we're under 25. So it can have a big impact on how we're learning, how we're able to concentrate.
I guess saying that now, when I think about the stoners, like in my high school, or when you see the stoner kids, they are kind of unmotivated and they stay on brand throughout their high school and college career.
Brand, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can see where liquor, I mean, it's not great, but I guess that's the choice, or beer over weed for the kids. That sounds weird to say.
Yeah, these parts of our brain are this is a really important developmental window when you're going through puberty, and you really want to protect those parts of your brain for when you're older. Last one. So driving after weed is not as dangerous as driving under the influence of alcohol.
Oh, I think that's a myth.
So say that one more time.
So driving under the influence of weed is not as dangerous as driving under the influence of alcohol.
I'm going to say true.
Well, I mean, they both impair you, so I would think they were equally as bad.
That's my logic.
Correct. Yes. So this is a myth. It's actually illegal and dangerous to drive while you're under the influence, to your point. So it slows down, as we said, our brain's reaction time, our concentration, even physical coordination. So not a good idea to think, well, I didn't drink, so I can drive. You're under the influence of something, so not a good idea to get behind the wheel.
I have a very serious question here. Okay, so I've smoked marijuana before, no big deal. So I'm drinking beer, I'm having a good time, I'm getting a little bit buzzed from my alcohol. Suddenly I take a few puffs off a joint, and then I'm like really buzzing because I'm high. What happens to the drunk in me that the high seems to have taken over?
Yeah, I think that this is really important. So most people are not doing just one thing at a time. We're often mixing things. And so the buzz from the alcohol has a certain time period that it's impacting you. And then you might have that high from the THC in the marijuana that really kicks in and sort of gives you that feeling of the high, and the difference between sort of that sort of laid back feeling you might get from the buzz. So it's really it's very individual in terms of, and it's based on what the potency of the marijuana you smoked. So it's really hard to say exactly when one is going to kick in opposed to the other, but that's generally what's happening. These drugs work under different time frames.
That help you out, Crash?
Yeah, because I always do that. Like, I'll drink a bunch of beer and I'll be like, I'm feeling no pain. Then I'll smoke a little bit and I'll be like, what happened to my drunk buzz? Now I'm high. Am I no longer drunk? Like, I don't know which one comes and which one goes.
Crash, TMI. These were back in the old days.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's not happening anymore.
Yeah, old times.
Yeah,
yes.
We're talking to Dr. Neha Pathak. Of course, she's part of WebMD's medical team. I do have a question for you because I've heard it both ways. Is marijuana a gateway drug?
So it can be. I think that this comes back to what we started talking with. I think people think that it has medicinal properties. And so you start thinking, I'm going to just take this to treat this one issue. And then you end up needing potentially more of it. It also sort of loosens you up to then start and try other things. So it is possible, but then you also, again, this is so individual because you also have people that really kind of swear by it, and this becomes something that they use preferentially, and then that's the main thing that they're going to do, and they're not going to do any other type of drug. So it's hard to say.
Okay.
Doc, what's the biggest thing you guys
you.
are seeing searched over at WebMD right now? What's the biggest concern when you see people searching? What are they looking for? Is that the flu that's going around?
I was just going to say that. Yeah, right now it's flu. We're seeing a lot of questions around measles as well.
Ooh, measles. Making a comeback.
Ooh, not good.
Making a comeback.
Isn't there like a quademic going on right now?
Yeah, so we're still kind of in that. Flu has a long tail, so we still have flu. We're seeing a downward sort of tick in that now, thankfully, this week. But it has a long tail, so if you haven't gotten your flu shot, still time. But there had been a lot of RSV, norovirus, so that's the virus that was making a lot of people vomit. Yes.
That's a bad one.
Yep, and then some COVID as well.
COVID seems so pedestrian now. You know, it just seems like it's like, and COVID. We'll throw a little bit of COVID
I got COVID,
in. Yeah, well, thank you. That's very enlightening as we, the weed talk, as we get towards the big weed holidays coming up soon. So Dr. Neha Pathak at WebMD, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
The Morning X with Barnes and Leslie.
I'm so high right now, y'all. I'm about to go to sleep on y'all ass.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
99X.
Wealth building expert Candy Valentino paves the path to success.
I'm sorry, you're a human with a heart and lungs. There's no price tag that you can put on a service that you offer. And everyone that I know, every entrepreneur, they all have one common goal. You want to strive to be like the Ritz-Carlton of your industry. Do the work, take the time to really understand and master these things. It's really essential to your path for success.
The Candy Valentino Show. Time to invest in your future. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.